I, along with our leadership team in athletics, are committed to provide all of our student athletes with the best possible experience in their careers at Syracuse University. We will also engage an external expert who will work with our teams and department to help us build an environment that is supportive, empowering, and positions our students for holistic success. To the student, athletes, and staff who had a poor experience in our program, I apologize. We are taking actions to address those experiences. Finally, I've had questions about my decision to name Von Reed acting head coach. This decision was based on a number of factors. Coach Reed has a good track record with this program, both from a coaching and team building perspective. That became very evident in speaking with members of this team, along with some parents and family members of current team members. Coach Reed is the architect of our system, both on offense and defense. Our team members were recruited to play in this system. In evaluating what was best for our student athletes, it became clear that Coach Reed could provide the stability and continuity that the program needs. We are totally focused on providing maximum support for our 11 women's basketball student athletes who comprise this year's team. That concludes my remarks. In terms of addressing the women's basketball program, I'm going to turn it over to Pete. And before I do, Pete and his team have done a remarkable job over the past 18 months with this facility and other facilities on campus. We're thrilled to welcome our fans back on Saturday afternoon and excited for our football team after a good opening road win versus Ohio. Pete?
Well, welcome everybody. It's just an amazing time right now to be 3-4 days out from big events here at the facility, to allow our fans back in the building. We have a event tomorrow night, a basketball game, which is why the court's down for our CBT event. It's a Legends game. We're excited to get that going. But more so, it's just it's time. It's time to let the fans back in the building. We know we have some big challenges ahead of us to do that. I'd like to talk about some of those challenges before I get too many questions. So, I've been asked a lot about the entry policy and how we're going to bring people into the building. Again, these rules aren't rules that we're putting together. We follow our guidelines from the county health department, from the county, basically from the county executive and people that we follow our guidance from as we run the university. Again, understanding that people, when they come to the facility, will need proof of a vaccine or a negative COVID test for people ages 5 and up, a PCR test administered 72 hours before entry, or an antigen test 6 hours before entry. We will accept digital copies. We are encouraging people to take pictures of those on their phone or to download things onto their phone, and to also make sure that they download their tickets, their electronic tickets, before they get to the gates. It just expedites that process coming in. The big thing that we've added to this is you need to provide an identification to match with that COVID test result. You can also take a photocopy of your license or anything like that, so everything's electronic, so you're not digging through documents. What we're going to do is what many of our peers have done in the last week, is we're going to provide 5 screening tents outside around the facility. 2 at Manley, 1 in each big parking lot, 1 at Skytop, 1 right below Sadler here for the west lots, and 1 off the quad over by the Ernie Davis statue. We went through that process for commencement. We went through that process for the Chancellor's Convocation, and our peers out there last weekend did the same thing. What it allows people to do is get pre-screened, get a bracelet. It expedites that process into the building. We'll actually create some fast pass lanes, so as people come up to the facility and have those bracelets, it'll get them into the building quicker. We will have personnel outside the gates reminding people what they need to get through. We know it's going to be a struggle. We had high school football games here last week, and just that challenge. And what we find is it's the conversation. When there is a question, that conversation isn't a normal event where you're asking a question, why isn't this ticket valid? There's always that extra conversation where we need to move somebody to the side to keep things flowing. So we're asking people to arrive early. I mean, the building, guys, is air conditioned, and I'll tell you what, we did a great job with that. So all the new things that we've done in the building with the concession stands and the sound system and the lighting, come in and enjoy that. See the colors, how bright the building is. The longer you wait, that push that we are typically used to of everybody showing up 5 minutes before kickoff is challenging at best without the COVID rules that we have. So we'd love people to get here early. And again, I mentioned the ticketing, and then the other thing I wanted to mention, the big change this year is us going cashless. So we want to make sure people are prepared for that. We may have 1 or 2 lines in the concession stands where we will accept cash, just because we know it may be challenging for people. But that is something that the university's asked us to do. We're going across campus to be a cashless operation across the campus. Any questions? Steve?
Question about workers. Do you feel, Pete, like you have enough workers throughout the building to make this run a smooth operation?
So that's a great question. So we've done 2 career fairs through the summer and within the last month. We've had great results. I don't think our ushers and ticket takers, that workforce has been fantastic. We've pretty much got 95% of them back. We've trained them. We go through a huge training exercise through the month of August, brought them through, toured the building, and they know what we expect. The nice part is, Steve, is they worked commencement. So they also worked the Chancellor's Convocation. We had over 7,000 people here last week, right? So we know what it takes to bring people through. So they've experienced it a little bit, not like they're going to experience it on Saturday, but we're confident in what we can do and what they're able to do. That side's been great. We've had great conversations with the City Police Department. We've got full support. We had a meeting yesterday discussing some of our security concerns around the date of the game and the 20th anniversary of September 11th. So we have we've been meeting about that, talking about what that means to this event on Saturday, and great cooperation from all of our service providers in the community. So I feel very confident about that.
So I know there's a lot of safety protocols in place, but obviously with the Delta variant even affecting the vaccinated, is proof of vaccination even enough?
Well, again, when you come in, you have to wear a mask unless you're eating or drinking. So in my opinion, it is. And again, this building, even though it doesn't require the air support, has many air changes. We still kept all those fans. We're going to be air conditioning, so there'll be many air changes throughout the event. And we put all brand new filters in that we were required to for the COVID requirements. So I'm very confident that it is.
Pete, obviously protocols are one part of creating an atmosphere. Enforcement is another. Are you going to have, how are you going to enforce masking? Are you going to, check tailgates? How are you going to enforce it in the building?
So, again, I don't think we'll be out in the parking lots enforcing the tailgate rules. I mean, we've got to ask people to, be compliant and trust what they're doing there. In the building, we've talked to our staff. It's a soft push. Chris, we want people to have fun. All right? We want people to come in here and enjoy the game, enjoy themselves. We didn't ask our people to be the mask police. We're not going to be the mask police. All right? We've talked to everybody in this business. We all talk to each other, especially last year with some of the pro venues, of people maybe pulling a mask down and having a straw and things like that, or somebody actually taking a mask down and keeping a lollipop the entire game so they don't have to have their mask up. We'll address those things one at a time. I'm probably giving people some ideas, but those are the kind of things we're hearing from our peers that they've been dealing with. So we tried a couple things at commencement with our ushers holding signs and our ticket takers holding signs. We didn't feel comfortable about that because it's kind of, again, we'll police it, but we're going to softly work our way into it and ask people to cooperate.
Pete, what exactly is the operation going to look like in the pre-screening tents? Is there going to be kind of one winding line inside? Is it going to be kind of coming from 4 directions? What can people expect as they walk up to these tents?
We'll probably start out with 1 or 2 approaches to the people that are actually checking and doing the wristbanding. Again, that is also a tough thing to staff. We have to have the right people there. We work with our ROTC program. They're a great supporter. We've reached out to my professional staff that reports to me to also be in the tents to do that. we've basically reached out to the people that we really know we can trust in those areas. And again, I have a pretty large staff, and when we work commencement, I asked them to all help get the parents into the facility, and they step up to the plate. We've got great support from the entire university to help us orchestrate those tents. So I don't see that as being a big issue. And if we can get people to go through it before the tailgates, when they first get here, take the time to go through those, especially at Manly and up at South Campus by the bus stop, that would be great.
Can you just talk a little bit more about how you're bringing back fans after almost 2 years?
How, I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
Bringing back fans to the game.
Yeah, well, no, you know, it was weird in here. It was strange last year, right? Doing football games without anybody in the building. It definitely took a while to get used to. It's what this building was built for, right? I mean, it was built for football. It's a football stadium that plays basketball that thinks it's a hockey arena, right? Or a small arena, the way we do things, right? It's exciting. I'm excited about it. I mean, what I'm really excited about is all the things we've done to the building to not worry about air pressure, to not worry about with this new lighting a power outage, to not worry about all the things you guys had no idea I was worrying about, right? Because those are all gone, right? And we've got a fantastic brand new facility. And when I bring somebody in here that hasn't been in this building since we've renovated it, they don't stop saying, oh my God, this is a brand new facility. When you're in here every day, you don't appreciate some of the improvements we've done, but it is just unbelievable. I wasn't happy with some of the things that we did, and I actually upgraded the lighting before anybody even saw it, right? So the color lighting's been upgraded. We've done some things to the outside of the building that we've had some scheduling issues with delivery. So not only did I replace the 36 lights that point down outside the building, we put 36 that point up. They're tied to the inside system. They're also color. So when we score a touchdown outside or in the building, people outside may see that as they're driving down the highway, right? We're able to interact all that. And look at the concourses, how bright they are. All the lighting's been upgraded. The entire building's been painted. I mean, it's just a different atmosphere. What we saw happen, too, is at commencement is our staff. You know, people aren't waiving programs because they're hot anymore. Our staff is comfortable. That's just that whole feeling, that whole demeanor of our staff. It didn't affect just the fans. It affected the people who are going to be greeting them as they come in, and that means a lot to us. And it's just a whole different atmosphere in here.
Yeah, I wanted to go back to the enforcement side of things, but from a vaccination standpoint. There are going to be a lot of scenarios, especially with out-of-town visitors. So how do you plan to kind of enforce if someone shows up without their vaccination card or didn't and they came from?
We handle those, and again, so that's a great question. Those are one-by-one scenarios, right? And we had some of those at commencement. There's going to be people that we're just not going to be able to let in. It's just a fact. If they don't come with the documents that they need, and we can't just let people in because they may have traveled 100 miles. So we're doing this today for you to help us get the word out, okay? So when people show up at this facility, they know what they need to get in. Right? We've reached out to Rutgers. We've worked very closely with them. My assistant, Kevin Vanderzee, used to work at Rutgers, so we've got a great line of communication with them. So it's been easy for us to speak to their athletic director, make sure they understand what we're going to do. I've asked Sue and I've asked Sarah Scalise to all week, the rest of the week, we're going to be putting messages out there. We need your help. Okay, this isn't just us doing this. We need people to know what they need to do to get in this building. And it's important for us every day to be putting messages out of asking people, please, we need you to do this to get into the building. We need you to get here on time. And please be patient that if you show up 2 minutes before kickoff, it's not a normal event, right? We're checking a lot of things to get people through the doors. We've actually been going back and forth internally about where do we put certain people. Do we want people do we want to be talking to people about their vaccination card or their test before they even get to going through the mags? Or do we want them to go through the mags and then get in that conversation, right? And Tom Benzel and I disagree on where we want that, right? So we're going to work that out. I'd prefer it happen before they even get to the mags to not make that line any longer or slow that down. Why put somebody through that process if they don't have the credentials to get in the building, right? So again, that's a communication thing and us working with those people and having the right people outside the tents at the gates before you go through the mags, having the same conversation we're having. So.
Along the same lines of difficult situations, Pete, if a 11-year-old or a 10-year-old shows up without a negative test, they also can't get in, if I'm understanding that?
That's what the rule is, yep, Chris. And that's going to be a very, very difficult conversation. So I can't wait till I read Syracuse.com tonight to see how you're going to help me address that. because
tried the first time. Do it again.
you'll help us. I know you guys will.
Pete, thank you very
Yep.
much for joining us today, and now we'll welcome John back for questions. Oh, I'm sorry, Sarah. Scalise's going to say. Hey everybody, I just want to go back to the enforcement piece. So to Pete's point, it really is on everybody in our community to make sure that this experience this weekend is safe and fun and enjoyable for everybody. So as you're starting to put together your coverage of not being the mask police, which Pete is absolutely right about, if you walk around our campus, you will see our students, our faculty and staff are on board. They are cooperating, they're participating in our public health guidelines. We need the same from our community and our fans as well. So if you can help reinforce that the expectation is that masks are up, except when you're actively eating and drinking, that'd be great. And of course, to Pete's point, we want everybody in the stadium. We want to get them in the door. So bring all of your materials with you. And you know, this is a challenge for everybody. This is a new experience for everybody. We didn't have folks here in the Dome last year. So we just need everybody's patience and cooperation. I think that's really important. So as Pete said, we'll be sending out a number of emails and communications to our ticket holders, to our fans, certainly to the media. So we're kind of all in this together. So if you can give us a hand with that, that'd be great. And if you have any more specific questions about the protocols, you can reach out to me for sure, or check out the Stay Safe website where everything is really clear. I mean, there is nothing up for discussion. Everything is very fact-based, and it should be a pretty fun weekend. Okay? Thank you, Sarah. Now we'll welcome John back to the podium.
Thanks, Sue. Just a couple of comments I want to make first. What Pete said. Number one, last year, no fans. I mean, it was surreal. It was really, really weird. And the one question I got asked in the off season by our football players was, you know, Mr. Wildhack, are we going to have fans? Are we going to have fans? Are we going to have fans? And I said, yes, we're going to have fans for you. And I think the impact that our fans can have on this team, not only this Saturday, but throughout the season, can be even more impactful than normal after what our team experienced last year with no fans. Secondly, we encourage fans to come early. Saturday is obviously a very, very important date and anniversary in the history of our country. We're going to commemorate the 20th anniversary of 9/11. We'll do it in a very tasteful and respectful manner, but I think our fans are going to want to be in and witness that live in person. And it'll be great to have our fans experience this for the first time. The other is the touchless concessions. It accelerates the speed of the transaction. It's unbelievable. So people, they will miss less game time. You get your stuff, you go, boom, you insert your card or whatever, you know, and boom, you're out. And it's really, really quick, and it's where the rest of the industry is going. And I thank Pete and his team for really accelerating the deployment of that. So with that, other questions? Brent.
John, can you just tell me why you felt comfortable in mid-June saying that Coach Q had in your words, your total support?
Yeah, because we didn't know anything at that time.
How did you not know anything? Where was the breakdown in terms of...
As I said in my opening statement, you know, there was a breakdown in systems and processes, and there was a breakdown in people who did not come forward and voice concerns to the appropriate personnel in the athletic department.
Are you confident the new process will accelerate those?
I am confident, and we will do everything that we can to make sure that we have a process and a system. I think the real response, an online real-time platform, I think will absolutely enable us to, if there's an issue, we'll be aware of it, and we can deal with it immediately.
John, have you received any complaints at any point from athletes or staff about Quentin Hillsman's behavior?
I have not.
Did Von Reed bring any concerns up at any point during his, decade under Q that you know of?
Not to me, no. Again, I'm happy. Yeah, I already, I addressed it in my opening statement, so if you have other questions, other topics, I'm happy to take those. But I think you can refer to my opening statement, because I think that really is encompasses in terms of what was discovered, and again, the very decisive actions that we've taken.
Did you factor, he's there 9 or 10 years, he doesn't
Well, again, I just described in my opening statement the process that I went through in terms of selecting Coach Reed to be our acting head coach.
So you weren't worried that somebody didn't come forward?
I think what I said speaks for itself. Chris, thank you.
So is your belief that Don was also unaware of the things that?
Again, I said my opening statement, and I'm going to stand by what I said.
Is there an onus on an assistant coach in a program to report things that they see?
Again, I've addressed what I'm going to in terms of women's basketball, what we discovered, and again, the decisive actions we've taken.
Hey, folks, we have about 5 minutes left, so if you want to ask questions about the upcoming weekend's football game, the Dome experience, you're welcome to. Any other women's basketball questions? Okay?
Steve?
I just got one question, just all encompassing about, it's been a challenging year, obviously. COVID, there was the men's lacrosse situation, there was a women's softball complaint, obviously the women's basketball as well. What have you learned, I guess, over the course of this year, just about your job, your role, this university athletic program, anything that you've taken away from this last year?
Well, I think it's college athletics is a very complex system and organization, right? And we have between 550, 600 student athletes. Then you add in, 150, 200 staff, right? So it's a large organization. It's a complex organization. Any organization that size, there's, from time to time, there are going to be issues. And when you're in a position of leadership, when you're made aware of issues, you need to act and act decisively in terms of resolving those issues. And that's what we've attempted to do.
I don't know. But John,
I might know, Chris. No, it's
you mentioned with Matt Park, right? The buck stops with me. That's what a leader says.
yeah.
Where do you think you need to do better?
I think we all learn from this process. The most important thing, leadership is hard. And if you're going to lead an organization, it's hard. When I was at ESPN, I led an organization. Leadership is challenging. And when you encounter those challenges, you need to act. And I think what we've done here is we have proactively addressed the issues that we've uncovered. And, no one knows what the future holds. No one knows what's right around the corner, right, for you, for any of us. But I believe in my staff. Of our 600 student athletes, the vast, vast majority are outstanding young men and young women. They're achieving record success in the classroom, GPA, graduation success rate, postgraduate honors. So there's a heck of a lot of good that goes on here. And I understand that may not always be what's most juicy in terms of a reporting perspective, but there's an awful lot of good that goes on here. But you always strive to improve your organization. That never stops.
Take our last question from Roshan.
John, last week you published a summary of the report. Is there any plan to publish the full report for the public? And if not, how did you arrive?
I'm going to defer you to Sarah on that.
Thanks, everybody, very much for attending today. We look forward to seeing you Saturday for the football game.
Can I sneak one more question in, John? I was just looking to see how you would grade your performance as an athletic.
That's not my job. It's other people's job to grade my performance.
Thank you, John.
Thanks.